As a young adult starting out in college, I really didn't understand what the Intercommunity Justice and Peace Center was about, but I knew how they made me feel. I knew that they talked about and advocated for things in my community that I wasn't hearing anywhere else. Things that were relevant and real and affected me. Issues that were near and dear to my heart. I know that Sister Alice Gerdeman welcomed me with open arms, stood by me and encouraged me to speak truth to power, love to hate, and it's partly the reason for who I am today.
The Intercommunity Justice and Peace Center exists as a place and a people who believe that an alternative narrative exists. We believe in belonging, that immigrants and refugees are welcome in our communities, that those on death row can be treated with dignity, that human beings have the right to be free from coercion and violence, and that people of all skin colors, languages, and religious beliefs deserve love and respect. Maybe your faith calls you to these beliefs as well. Maybe the stories you hear on the news stir something in you that won't let you forget. Maybe you're driven by the desire to leave a more peaceful world for the next generation, our kids and grandkids. We believe that we belong to each other. The Intercommunity Justice and Peace Center's mission is to educate and advocate for peace, challenge unjust local, national, and global systems, and promote the creation of a nonviolent society. We encourage people to think critically and with compassion about 4 core issues. Hopefully they're familiar to all of you. Abolition of the death penalty, human trafficking, immigration, and peace and nonviolence. We mobilize people of Greater Cincinnati, you all gathered here tonight, to raise their voices, take action, and create change.
There's only 4 ways for someone like me to get quote unquote legal. 1, a pardon from a president. 2, a private bill. So I would ask my congressional member or a senator where I grew up, California, to introduce a private bill to save me. Why would I do that? What does that say to 11 million people, right, who don't have the privilege that I have of writing for the New York Times or having the networks that I have? So I couldn't do that. The third is immigration reform, whatever that is, which would provide immunity for people like me for having committed the fraud that we had to commit just so we could live like y'all live, right? The fourth is try to marry somebody, although apparently, because now same-sex marriage is legal, I'm also gay. But because I admitted to all the crime, even if I were to marry a man, not that I'm seeing anybody, but you don't need to know that. Even if I were to get married, because I have admitted to the fraud, I can't just adjust the status. So the only real option is to leave. Now, it's incredible to me that when we talk about immigration, we are so distracted by all these partisan politics and often inscrutable policies that we are not even asking the most basic questions. Questions like, why do people move? Right? Questions like, what does U.S. foreign policy and trade agreements have to do with migration patterns? Right? So I'm Filipino. I've met 3 so far. Filipinos here. So I was in North Carolina for this Tea Party event. And I got invited, so I showed up. And then I said that there are 4 million Filipinos in the United States, 2 million of whom live in California, where I'm from. This gentleman got up and said, why are there so many of you here? Clearly, he hasn't had Filipino food, which is amazing. And then all I could think of, my grandmother raised me, so I have manners. So all I could think of was, sir, we are here because you were there. The Spanish-American War, right? When we were a protectorate of the United States. So why do you think those people from Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala are coming here? What did we do to those countries in the 80s? What did Reagan do to try to contain communism? Who started the drug war? NAFTA. So what did NAFTA do to Mexico? So all I'm saying here is saying that people are coming here for the American dream and to have a better life and to get a glimpse of the Statue of Liberty. That's not enough, right? They are coming here because of what this country, our country, which is trying to perfect itself, has done. and continually does. And then a few months ago, this is really crazy, after I finished writing the book, I heard from the superintendent of the school district that I attended when I was a kid. And on Twitter, he said, hey, we're thinking of naming an elementary school after you. And then I said, I'm not dead yet. Shouldn't somebody try to kill me first before this happens? And then I said, no. That can't, I didn't think it was real. And then I didn't say anything. I just said, let the process play through, because the board had to vote, the community in Mountain View, where I grew up, where Google is. When I was there before Google was there. And then to my surprise, I kept waiting for someone to say no. I kept waiting for people to write letters to the editors at the community paper where I used to work. I kept waiting for people, Republicans, Libertarians, Democrats, whatever. I kept waiting for people to say, you cannot name a school after a person who's not even supposed to be here. How do you explain it to the kindergartens, for kindergartens in 5th grade? How do you explain it to all those young kids? And no one said anything. And then I started thinking, why? Because no matter what they think of what this issue is, no one could deny that I'm from Mountain View. That's where I, belong. No one can deny that there I'm welcome. I am so welcome there that in August they're building Jose Antonio Vargas Elementary School. But here's the point I really want to make, especially in this community, in this really blessed community, in this really amazing room. I hope you know that when things get really loud in DC and we don't know what's happening, that all of you decide who belongs. The community decides who belongs. And in honor of that, I was looking at this page and looking at this envelope. I hope you'll join me in contributing to this wonderful organization who helps determine who belongs in this community. Thank you for having me here. What was that?